Well, yes, I think that's right. And in the United Arab Emirates, we have two main education systems, one public and one private.
Wow.
So you have two education systems.
Yes. We have the public schools, which are run by the government, and these are Arabic schools, because everybody studies in Arabic.
Yeah.
But everybody has some English classes too.
So these private schools, how are they different?
Well, in the private schools, there's more English in them, and a lot of the subjects, like sciences and things like that, these subjects are taught in English, and the textbooks are in English mostly. The private schools, they are very popular.
Do you have to pay to go to the private schools?
Yes, I am afraid so.
Wow, it must be expensive, is it?
It can be quite expensive, yes. But you see, the thing is that most people think they're better.
Yeah.
Well, and in most cases, they do. They have better facilities and better teachers. Basically, you get a better education. And it's important if you want to then go on to university. But what about in Korea? Is it a similar situation? Or?
In Korea, it's very similar, but most people go to state schools, the government schools. They don't go to private schools because the state schools are good, but you have to work very hard.
Okay.
In Korea, it's very competitive. The school lessons we only have in the morning, but most people go to extra classes after school for a couple of hours until the evening.
Wow, that sounds really like hard work.
Yes, because there's a lot of pressure from parents and from the government to get top marks and to get into a good university.
Wow, and are the classes big? And what about the classes?
Usually quite big, about 40 students in a class. But that's okay because everybody is quiet because they concentrate very hard and they work very hard.
Wow, quiet. I think is very different from Brazil.
Why? How is it different in Brazil?
Well, Brazilians like to talk a lot, so the classes are quite, lively. But apart from that, money is really important for our education. Your parents need to have money to pay for you to go to a good school. Yes. I'm not sure it's a good system, but that's the way it is.
Yes, it's the same in the Emirates. You need the money to get the best education.
Anyway, what about your universities? In Korea...
In the Emirates, the universities are free. There are a lot of universities opening in the Middle East at the moment. So quite a lot of students go to other Arabic countries to study. They go to Saudi Arabia, for example, where a lot of the programs are in English. Yes, but you see, the main problem is that there seems to be a shortage of government money at the moment. Yeah. And, well, in my country, there are so many areas we need to spend it on. It's not just education. We have to spend on health, pensions, construction, defense. Yeah. There are...
But that is the case anyway, isn't it? Governments always have to prioritize.
Yes, of course. This...
Okay. I understand that. But, what do you think? I mean, what would you prioritize?
Okay, well, for me, education is the most important thing. Because it's our future.
Yeah.
I would say that without education, you don't have any doctors, any teachers, engineers, scientists. You don't have nobody.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you that you need a good education, a good educational system. But the thing is, when money is short, I think you have to cut a bit of everything, to be fair.
So, that's what you think?
Yes. Education is important, obviously. But so is health, so is transport, so is everything. What about you? What do you think?
Well, If I am honest, actually, I agree with Jiwoo. I think if you cut spending on education too much, then it's inevitable. You are risking your future.
Well-
You're cutting your investment in the future. And that means you will only get those problems later on.
Well, I don't agree with that at all. I think you can prioritize within education spending. It doesn't have to be education or something else.
I think that's right. But you're still cutting your investments in the future.
Yes, but what about all those university courses in things like media studies or history, subjects like that? How do they help investment in the future? How do they help the economy?
You need historians, to tell you about the future.
Fine, okay, but you still haven't told us what you would cut.
As you can see, this graph focuses on countries which have different birth rates. If we could just start by looking at India, we can see that the number of children born per woman has been declining steadily since 1960, from 5.8 in 1960 to 2.7 in 2010. But the trend that's most noticeable is Turkey, with a 1960 birth rate of 6.3. Turkey's birth rate in 2010, which is now only slightly higher than that of the UK, fell quite dramatically over the period to 2.1, compared with 1.9 in the United States.
Okay, so why are you saying that the media don't change the way we think?
Well, what I mean is that we already have, our political views or whatever. They develop when we are like teenagers. And you might read a left-wing newspaper or watch a right-wing news channel, but actually, that's not going to change anything.
But wait. Then how do your views actually develop in the first place?
Well, the media, of course. No?
They develop. No, I don't agree. It's not the media. It's your upbringing. It's your parents, your friends, school, everything around us.
Yeah.
So hang on. So it's everything except the media. Do you really think that the media have no effect on what we think?
Well, no. I wouldn't necessarily say that.
But that was what you were saying, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. Or not. What I actually said was...
Okay, this is interesting, but can I bring us back to the text?
Sure.
Yeah. So, what do we think about the active audience model?
Well, I would say that it's partly right. Look, I agree the media tend to reinforce our views. You read the newspaper that reflects what you think or whatever. But I think they shape our views as well. Yeah.
So that brings us to the third model.
The media...
The media themes model.
Yes. Actually, look, to me it makes a lot of sense. I don't think we're as free as we'd like to believe. And our outlook on the world...
Come on, you're as free as you want to be.
No.
Of course you are. Come on, of course you are.
Now, wait a minute. Just let her finish.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. So look, what I'm saying is we're not completely free. And the media is going to influence the way we think, to some extent.
But why do you keep saying we're not free? I mean, it's a free country. You can think whatever you want.
Yeah, all right, but you know what I mean. Look, it's really hard to be completely... Pardon me. Look, it is really hard to be completely independent when you're surrounded by all these messages the whole time telling you things.
Yeah, I know that. So why do you think the individual is not responsible?
Because it's the responsibility of society. It's not their own responsibility.
But what do you mean by society?
Well, basically, society is in all our ownership, but it's independent of...
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
What I'm trying to say is... Society is more than the sum of the individuals which make it up. Individuals are responsible in some way, But what counts is how they interact.
So, who is responsible?
Yeah, do you mean individual people or interaction between people?
Okay. Basically, what I mean is society involves interaction between people. And this interaction, which is like above the individual, that's what carries the responsibility. Do you see what I mean?
Can you say that again?
Okay. It's actually quite simple. Yes, individuals have responsibility. But no, they're not responsible for everything because society might be responsible.
I'm not sure what your main point is.
I'm saying that an individual might behave badly in one country. Society might punish another individual in another country.
Can you explain that again? How those ideas are connected?
Well, if I could go back to the construction of the individual...
No, not the individual. The other part about society.
Anyway, before I give you some feedback, can I ask what you think of your essay? Did you enjoy writing it?
Yes, I like writing. I enjoyed writing my essay. But I don't think it's a very good essay.
Oh, why is that?
Well, actually, I spent a lot of time writing it. But when I read it again this morning, I don't think it's a good one,
In what way? Why don't you think it's a good essay?
Okay, first of all, my ideas. I'm generally good in speaking, but my writing, I don't know. The way it's organized, also the style is terrible. It's not... I don't know.
Okay, well, you've given me several ideas there, so let's have a look at them one by one and then we can discuss them individually. So, first of all, your ideas. I would say that actually you do have some very useful ideas, and the organisation of the essay is fine. Really, it's clear and it's easy to follow. You might want to develop your ideas a bit more, and there are ways you can do that.
Yes, sorry. But you said write only 500 words only, and...
That's absolutely true, and it's not very many words to develop your ideas. But for instance, if we look at your support, the support for your ideas, I would say it's rather generalised.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Well, for example, in the second paragraph, which is the first paragraph in the main body, you write, everyone knows that nurture is more important, okay? Now, what you say may be true, but it's an overgeneralised statement, and you don't offer any evidence for that.
Okay, I see what you mean.
As I say, you do offer some relevant points, but these tend to be rather general and not so well connected. Your thesis statement is also quite general. You could be more specific there, definitely. Actually, you don't really need to mention the last part about the conclusion, because the reader normally expects to read a conclusion.
Okay, so just cut it?
Yes, cut it. And that gives you a bit more space to elaborate on everything else. So, let's talk about style. What we're working towards here is good academic style, and I know that this can be difficult to achieve, and it can take a long time. But, for example, in the first paragraph, you say, everyone knows that. Now, this can be rephrased. You can say something like, it is widely known that, or many people believe that, or even something less direct like, there are strong arguments for. So there are different ways of saying it.
Thank you. These words are excellent. Can you write them down for me?
Actually, style is what we're going to be looking at in the next lesson, so I'll write them all out for you then.
Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. I had one or two more things to say. I've written my feedback down, and I'll give you the sheet in just a moment. But what I wanted to mention was, well, again, style, actually. You see, you're using words like massive, bad, and stupid. These aren't really appropriate for an academic essay.
So, what words can I use?
Well, again, this is a complex area, but there are usually more formal synonyms you can use. You may say massive or big in conversation, but you might want to write words like important or significant or major, depending on the other words you are using.
Okay, I see. They're more formal words.
Yes. And a final thing on the same subject. Could you vary the words you use? Bring in more variation. You use the word basically quite a few times, for example. In fact, you don't really need to use so many discourse markers or linking words like this, but we can talk more about this another time.
Okay.
So, as I was saying, try varying the vocabulary a bit more. Use more synonyms.
That's good. Have you got a list? Because that would be really useful.
So, is there anything else you want to ask about?
No, not really.
Do you feel clearer now about what you need to do?
Yes.
And the areas you need to work on?
Yes.
Well, that's probably it then for today. So, shall we meet again next week at the same time?
There is something that I need to ask you about.
Okay, good. That's good. Well, that brings us back to today and theoretical approaches to personality. Now, last week I asked you to come prepared to talk briefly about one particular theoretical approach and to present the key issues based on your reading or research. So, Ben, can we start with you?
Yes, sure. The theory I've been reading about is called the type approach. And this theory, it's based around personality. So it's a personality type theory, I guess. Anyway, it aims to classify people into categories, distinct sort of different categories. That's the main thing. A person is either one personality type or they're the other. Okay.
What sort of types?
Well, the basic idea comes from Jung, writing in 1923, I think it was. He wrote a book called Psychological Types. And Jung says that people are either extrovert or introvert. And he defines the terms extrovert and introvert as... just a minute. Yes. Extroverts are oriented to the outer world of things and events, and introverts are the opposite, oriented to the inner world of thoughts and ideas. This was Jung's theory, the personality typology, as it's called. And actually, it's been very influential.
You say influential, how?
Well, for example, this typology led to the development of the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is a personality assessment tool. It's used a lot in business.
Myers, how do you spell that? Sorry.
A Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, and then hyphen Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S. And that was in 1962. Well, and the Myers-Briggs one recognizes 4 basic personality functions. They call them functions. So, first, there's extroversion or introversion. That's obviously the Jung influence. Then, second, you've got intuition or sensing. Basically, this is like internal and external, your inner voice versus observation. Then it's thinking or feeling, which actually is objective or subjective. And lastly, you've got judgment or perception, which is sort of being in control or setting schedules versus just seeing what happens. But the key thing is that most people are either one or the other. And that's probably just about it.
So, Katerina, over to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, well, I'm going to talk briefly about the behaviorist approach, which is concerned with the study of behavior, obviously, as a separate entity. There are a number of different sort of branches of behaviorism, so it's hard to come up with just one definition. But essentially, the main idea is that this approach views us... It views all behavior, what we do, how we respond to events, as a consequence of conditioning. So, what does that mean? Well, the behaviorist approach says that we become conditioned to respond to our environment, that it's our environment and things like money or social praise which condition most human behavior. These type of things, they're called reinforcers. So to put it very simply, it's sort of like reward and punishment. If you behave in a certain way and something good happens as a result, you're more likely to act the same way the next time. And if you do something and you don't get a reward or you get punished, you're less likely to act that way in the future. Okay?
So your behavior is being reinforced all the time? Well, that's the basic idea.
And do you have any examples for that?
Oh, yes. Well, in particular, in 1970s, an American psychologist called Skinner wrote about these experiments on behavior. And he gives us various examples, like, say, people work for money because they know it will result in food and other things they need. And, well, in their life, over their lifetime, people build up associations between all sorts of different situations. So people have behavioral responses to these situations.
Interesting.
They know that they can result in positive or negative reinforcement. Yes, so that's about all, really. Those are the main points.
Okay, thanks, Katerina. Would you like to summarise?
Okay, I'll try. So my understanding is that this is the type approach, which is a personality type theory, and it's based on Jung's personality typology from 1923. The key points are that Jung says that people are either extrovert, looking out at the world, or they're introvert, looking in themselves. And this was very influential in developing the Myers-Briggs personality assessment tool. So basically, the main idea is that most people fall into one or two personality types. Just a question. You said that Myers-Briggs uses 4 basic personality functions? Personal characteristics in pairs, like extrovert, introvert, thinking versus feeling, so on. Oh, can you explain a bit more about how that works?
Yeah. Well, if you have 4 either-or personality functions, then that gives you 16 possible combinations. So,
Thanks, Katerina. Wang?
Okay, so to summarize what you said, behaviorism looks at behavior from the point of view that it's a result of conditioning. That means basically how we act. It's influenced by our environment, and our behavior gets reinforced by what happens to us. And this can be positive or negative reinforcement, so like reward and punishment. And I understood that over time, people kind of develop automatic responses to different situations, and that's conditioning, right? That's the basic idea. But I'd like to ask about Skinner's experiments. Were these with people or with animals? Or how did it work?
Well, they were with both, actually. He started using rats, but then...
Okay, well, thank you for that, Katerina. Wang, can I ask you to go next?
Okay, thank you. Well, the cognitive behaviorist approach that I've been looking at seems rather different from what Katerina was talking about. So it's not so much concerned with how environmental factors influence behavior. It's more about internal factors. So things like your motives or your intentions, your reasons for doing something. Also the goals that you have, also various personal characteristics. And anyway, I think the really important point is that the cognitive behaviorist approach sees people as active. They're active learners who learn things, who gain, who acquire knowledge and understanding by being exposed to various situations, and by solving problems. There are a couple of key researchers who are associated with this approach. Pluming is one.
oh, sorry, who?
Robert Plumin, P-L-O-M-I-N.
Right.
He's an American psychologist. And Plumin, well, actually Plumin and some other people, this was in 2001. I have all the references for you.
Okay.
Anyway, their belief is that learning is the key thing. This approach is activated best in situations like discovery learning. You know, all the stuff with facilitators and mentors. So a person's behaviors are acquired and modified basically through learning. Other researchers argue for a similar kind of...
Sorry, what researchers?
Cook and Sheeran. That's Cook with an E. It's an article from 2004. They also emphasize the importance of cognitive factors in the development of human behavior. So I think the important thing to remember is Yes, that internal cognitive factors play an important role determining human behavior. Okay, that's it.
So what did you two think about the lecture, the engineering lecture? Emma? Eduardo?
Yes, the one on bridges. Loved it.
Yes, me too.
I took lots of notes, more than I usually do.
Yeah,
I
I took
thought,
loads as well, and I've even typed them up.
That was quick, Tom.
Can I?
Yeah, but
Can I just check your notes against mine, just to see if I have everything?
yeah, sure. We can do it together later if you want.
Yes? Okay, thanks. Sure.
The lecture was one of the best I've been to in a long time, actually.
yeah.
Really informative. But what made it all work for me were the visuals.
Oh, yeah, they were very good.
Yes, they were impressive.
And I think that he took all the photos himself, as far as I remember, from his work around the world. Like those ones of the stone bridges in Yemen. They were the best. Amazing.
Yes, they were incredible. The simplicity of the Yemeni bridges compared to the modern bridges like the Foster Bridge in France, it's such a contrast.
Yeah, that was stunning.
Oh, and so were the ones from Northern Europe.
Well, if you go to South America, you can see examples of even more spectacular bridges, high in the mountains. And some of them are very old.
But what was more interesting were the different perspectives he took on the function of bridges. I mean, the economic, social and artistic perspectives are all really interesting, but the most interesting part of the talk was towards the end, when he talked about bridges as metaphors in modern technology and design in the field of engineering.
It was interesting, but it was a bit complicated.
Well,
I'm not sure I understood what he was getting at. There was a lot of information, but to be fair, he did try to make it as accessible as possible.
Well, I think
Shall we go through the...
I started getting lost there too.
Shall we go through the slides on the internet in the Self-Access Centre?
Okay.
or we could just do it here on the laptop. It'd be much more comfortable, and I can talk you through my notes if you like, Eduardo.
1,
I took loads as well.
2,
We can do it together later if you want.
3,
The lecture was one of the best I've been to in a long time, actually.
yeah.
Really informative.
4,
Yes, they were impressive.
5,
And I think that he took all the photos himself, as far as I remember.
6,
You can see examples of even more spectacular bridges, high in the mountains.
7,
I mean, the economic, social and artistic perspectives are all really interesting.
8,
It was interesting, but it was a bit complicated.
9,
I started getting lost there too.
So, Fatima, you said that more and more people are learning English in order to study for a university degree in English.
Yes, Natsuko. And my point is for what?
Sorry, I don't understand.
What I mean is, why are so many people having to learn English? That's the crucial question.
You mean...
Well, as you say, more and more people are learning English for academic purposes, for university study, okay? This means that English is increasingly the most important language for university education. It's absolutely vital for academic success. Suppose that after 10 years or 20 years, the majority of students worldwide do their degree in English. In that case, all the other languages will become minority languages.
So you're saying a language like Japanese, Chinese, for example, will become a minority language?
Sure. Japanese, Spanish, French.
Yes, George is right. Japanese, Spanish, French, even Chinese as well. This situation will result in great unfairness.
Unfairness? What? Nobody's forcing people to study in English.
Oh, you don't think so? But what will happen if the most prestigious universities, and I don't just mean ones like Oxford and Harvard, but other universities all over the world, if they decide to teach entirely in English.
Okay, I see what you're saying. If that happens, schools as well will start teaching in English. Yeah, okay.
But exactly, precisely, that not only secondary schools, but primary schools, educational books, websites, all these will be mainly in English. It's impossible to conclude that this is fair.
Unless students actually want to study in English, are quite happy studying in English.
That's right, Natsuko. There are other situations where this has already happened.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, I was thinking about the internet, technology in general.
Oh, come on now. Could we just perhaps maybe stick to education for now?
So what I'm saying is the recent growth in English medium universities means that for once, for the first time since Latin anyway...
Sorry, what do you mean by since Latin?
Well, what I mean is when Latin was the dominant language in Europe in the Middle Ages, everyone, I mean the educated people, mostly men I guess, their education was in Latin. They studied in Latin in whatever country they lived in. Italy, of course, Spain, and everywhere. England, Germany as well.
I see what you're saying. Latin was a common language.
Exactly, Natsuko. In the Latin era, all those people, Spanish, English, and everybody, could have a common language across the whole of Europe.
I was just wondering if I could add something.
Just a moment. Well, the whole of Europe had a kind of equality, if you like. The common language, the lingua franca, as it was called, was Latin. And this meant all kinds of advantages.
Shouldn't we also consider Arabic?
Okay, but...
It's true what you say about Latin, but remember that there was also Arabic. At that time in the Middle East, Arabic was spoken across many countries, and it was used as the language of education too, of medicine in particular, and mathematics, and other subjects.
Absolutely. Yes, of course. I wasn't trying to say Latin had the monopoly. In fact, what I was going to say, basically, these advantages applied to Arabic as well, further east.
Advantages? Could you say what they were?
Of course. First of all, as I said, one advantage was that there was a kind of equality. Anyone could learn Latin. I mean, anyone who had access to education, that is. Which means that there were common textbooks and libraries. Teachers and students could move around Europe, and regardless of their first language, they could speak to other educated people, and so on.
I see. But do you think we're being a bit Eurocentric here? I mean, there are many significant challenges to English.
Like what? What sort of challenges? Did you mean cultural challenges?
Actually, I was thinking about language challenges. In my view, English is a very difficult language. It's very challenging.
Certainly in some ways, yes.
Yes, and students who are studying in English naturally experience a greater level of difficulty when following a degree course in English. It's much harder than doing so in their first language. As Fatima said, it's unfair.
True.
As I said, it's challenging for these students. Take writing, for example. A student must learn to write in academic style.
Following academic conventions.
Yes, following academic conventions, as you say. And many more difficulties besides. Grammar, vocabulary, many new words to learn. Plus listening and speaking. These can be very problematic.
Okay, so what's your main point?
Well, firstly, as I said, it's very challenging for students studying in English as a foreign language. Therefore, studying for a degree course in a different language, such as English, is more difficult when compared with studying in one's first language.
So are you saying this is unfair?
Of course, yes, very unfair. It's
My presentation this afternoon is on the impact of the cashless society, which, as we can see here, is the title of my talk. And if we look at this second slide, you'll see that the aim of the talk is to examine the impact of such a society from various perspectives, namely transport, commercial and financial, employment, and finally social, including the poor and the elderly. My own stance is that the cashless society is already creeping up on us, and while there are many significant short-term and long-term benefits from the transport and commercial and financial points of view, there are a number of real drawbacks from the social perspective. Let's take transport as an example, where the use of prepaid cards or phones instead of cash has transformed the way passengers travel in many major cities and towns. Payment for travel can now be made in advance by cash at machines. Increasingly, payments are being made by credit card at machines or over the internet without people carrying cash or having to look for particular amounts of money. The impact on individual members of society, both rich and poor, is considerable. If we take the transport in any major city of the world, such as Tokyo or Seoul or New York, we can see that dispensing with cash payments has increased the speed with which passengers access transport systems, such as buses, trains and planes. This development, in turn, has led to increased passenger numbers and freer movement of people. The economy of these regions has also increased as a result of the people getting to work quicker and more efficiently. In an ideal world, if public transport is working efficiently, then the traffic on the infrastructure will move smoothly, thus also reducing pollution and stress. If we turn to commerce, here on the next slide, we can see that there are 3 main effects listed and 2 drawbacks, which I'll discuss later.
Well, Charlie, how do you think your presentation went overall?
I'm not sure I can say anything. I suppose it was okay, as everyone clapped.
Yes, it was generally a very effective presentation, I think.
Thanks.
I think most of us found it interesting.
OK, but watch out for timing in future. There was a slight overrun. You said you spent a lot of time on organisation. How do you think the organisation went for the first part on transport?
Yeah, well, I think it was okay. I spent a lot of time planning and I made notes for each slide, as you can see here. Maybe I could reduce the amount of notes in future.
The amount of notes looks about right. I think the organisation was more than okay. I'd say that the presentation overall was very well structured. And your slides matched the presentation really well.
Oh, thank you. I did run through it 2 or 3 times with a friend and we ironed out a few initial problems.
Anyone got any comments on the organisation? No? Yes, Anna.
The organisation made it easy to follow the argument. It was very clear.
You had a good range of individual ideas. Do you think they were connected well?
I think so. I seem to be able to talk about them fluently, I think.
I agree. The connections between the different phenomena, the ideas, were straightforward.
Yeah, that meant that the argument about transport that you put forward was easy to follow.
I agree. You couldn't really have done any better there.
Oh, that's good to hear.
After the first part of the presentation on transport, you used a lot more statistics, references to sources. Why did you leave them out in the part relating to transport?
I wanted to ease the audience into the talk and not overwhelm them with statistics and facts.
Well, generally, I think you managed to strike the right balance. OK, what about the pace?
Maybe I could have been a bit quicker. The pace was a bit slow at times.
I'm not sure if you were that slow. I thought that most of the time the pace was fine. But what about the rest of you?
Well, maybe when Charlie was giving the effects, it would have been better to slow down even more. For me, it was fine to listen to, but for taking notes, it could have been a bit slower.
Wouldn't I have seemed too slow then?
Perhaps a pause before each of the ideas.
But I did that.
But not all the time.
Do you remember when you mentioned the effects on commerce? I couldn't write the notes down.
Ah, okay.
Perhaps you should watch the video back again and see if you can write the notes down yourself. You had some good examples throughout. Mainly, I'd say they were relevant. Could you make them more specific, do you think?
Yes, in some cases perhaps, but I'd probably need to cut something else out to keep within the time.